welcome to a very special episode of CU Specials. This is the CU Recap 2023. We have had a roller coaster year in cricket, football, and pro wrestling. The year was full of highlights and drama and whatnot, and we are here to go over each of them. And we have handpicked 15 such moments across the three sports. And I have with me the usual suspects, VS and Dave, to help me go through this list. Without further ado, let's get to it. And with Gandalf being away means I get to do these slides once again. Shout out to Gandalf. Thanks for not making it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. See you recap. Iconic moments featuring Virat Kohli, CM Punk, and Kylian Mbappe. Do you guys have anything to say about that? If you do, you have to wait.
A
Sorry.
lot, but we'll wait.
Yeah. Okay. So first up, we wanted to do only five for each sport. That means there were a lot more drama happening. And we start off with honorable mention. That is Hardik Pandya coming home to Mumbai Indians from Gujarat Titans in a picture that can only be compared to Katapa and Bahubali at this point. Dave, what do you
It's
think of
a
that?
it's a ridiculous situation, isn't it? I don't think Mumbai essentially needed to bring Hardik Pandya back because they have other players who are good enough to take over the captainship from Rohit Sharma eventually. Now that they have brought back Hardik Pandya, they find out that Hardik Pandya is injured, so now they have to beg Rohit Sharma to take back the captainship. So it's a ridiculous situation, and it might just have long term ramifications for
Yeah,
Mumbai Indians as a team. And it will be interesting to see what happens when IPL rolls around.
yeah.
I would slightly disagree. I think long term Hardik Pandya would be an asset for Mumbai in terms of both as a player, bowler, batsman, and as a captain. But completely agree with the fact that short term it was ridiculous to displace captain as senior and as impactful as Rohit Sharma.
Okay, so but regardless of how we feel about the move, that is definitely one of the iconic moments in 2023 because of what Dave said, the ramifications that it is going to have for every other team in this IPL, including RCB, because um, Gujarat managed to get 17 crores over the table for Hardik Pandya, and MI recouped that money from RCB for Cameron Green. And we all
Yeah.
know how that transfer window or mini auctions turned out for RCB after that. All of that definitely makes it a big moment, but not quite enough to feature in our top five for cricket. So, with that said, let me go to our actual list. Ha, Sir Jadeja with the heist of the century in IPL. So, as a CSK fan, I absolutely had to include this, and I'm sure any cricket fan would agree with this as well. CSK, in what was potentially touted as MS Dhoni's last match, went up against Gujarat Titans in the finals, where Gujarat put up a massive 214 in 20 overs. Of course, this was actually played on the reserve day because it was raining cats and dogs in Ahmedabad. So the game got pushed to day two in the finals, and Gujarat pretty much sealed the deal. At least that's what we thought when the game went on and the first innings was over. But like many times we have seen before from CSK and MS Dhoni, they had other ideas. They came out all guns blazing right from the top, be it Gaikwad or Conway. Uh, but at one point, when the chase was getting really tricky, uh, we all, CSK fans pretty much put our hands up in the air and said, "This is for Dhoni to take us home from here." And in comes Dhoni and gets out for a golden duck. I'm pretty sure most of us switched off the TV at that point. But Sir Jadeja, with his honorary knighthood, he came um he came through big time for CSK, and definitely not just this IPL. It'll go on to etch itself in the history books of IPL for the way it panned out.
As a CSK fan, again, I'm glad that you put that up there because after the first innings, I did not see us lifting the trophy, and I thought Dhoni would be walking away after a final without having lifted his final IPL. So I would say Devon Conway was the one who started the chase on a good note, and after his opening innings, I had some hope. But the way Gujarat wrapped themselves around Chennai, it took a mighty dealing from Sergey Deja himself to get us through. And one of the biggest moments of celebration that I've had in an otherwise unfortunate year, to say the least.
Okay,
CSK
so
ends up
let's.
finding a way, let's just say. Like they have always sort of found a way to win. And even though I personally didn't want CSK winning another IPL because it's a bit repetitive at this point through no fault of CSK. CSK has always been a great team, but it was getting a bit repetitive. Even then, uh, the credit to CSK and the think tank of CSK for building the
They are
sort of
so good
team
that
they
they
have
are
built.
bored of us winning.
Yeah, pretty much, pretty much. I cannot even deny that. Like, fair enough, fair play to CSK.
Okay,
Even though
so
I
I'm
don't
gonna
like
quickly.
CSK, they're what they are. They're the
It's
best
okay. We
of
have heard
IPL.
enough. You're outnumbered 2-1. I don't even know what your affiliation is. Don't tell Sunrisers Hyderabad. But
No,
we are moving on
I
from
cannot
that.
do that to myself, man. Like that is just masochism.
Okay, okay, because I was in charge of putting together most of these moments, I made sure I included everything that was close to my heart personally. That means Pat Cummins and Nathan Lyon avenging the Headingley defeat in an epic Ashes thriller. I'm sure neither of you have context. Why would you? You India fans don't care. You think IPL is the greatest cricketing campaign in any given calendar year. So I'm just gonna take this on my own. This was the first Ashes test. Australia were well and truly ahead for most of the game, but England being England with their baseball and whatnot, they came out all guns blazing. And at one point, they completely turned the tides around and actually came pretty close to eking out a victory. Mind you, this was played at home, and Australia were, uh, that tail was there already. So nobody expected Australia to actually win it from there. So I'm gonna quickly pull up the scorecard. So if you look at this, Australia were chasing 282. That's actually mighty total in Test cricket for fourth innings. And this innings from Pat Cummins was just a spoiler as it turns out. 44 from 73 just looks like a run of the mill innings, but honestly, that day I was really impressed by Nathan Lyon more than Pat Cummins because we have come to expect that from Pat Cummins. But Nathan Lyon, on the other hand, he's known to be not a high stakes player. I know it sounds extremely harsh talking about Nathan Lyon, a 500 wicket taker like that. But for any Australia fan, even Lyon himself would agree that he's not the best under pressure. But for him to come through like that, play pretty much an innings of his lifetime with the bat, and if you remember, we lost that infamous. I'm saying infamous because we were on the losing side. Test when Ben Stokes had this carnage of an innings. It was Nathan Lyon who actually fumbled the ball on the last ball. He could have easily run out Ben Stokes, and Australia could have won that Ashes game. I think this was way back in 2019. Uh, so I honestly did not have any hopes once I saw Nathan Lyon come out to bat, and I'm super glad that he proved me wrong.
And Pat Cummins, he has not. This is not a one-off innings from him because throughout 2023, we have seen Cummins stand up and deliver when we least expect him to be. So he has proved to be an excellent captain for Australia. Naturally, definitely a good bowler. But on top of that, he has come up trumps with the bat on occasions where he simply had no right to. There was also the Brazilian knock in the World Cup where he scored some 11 runs from some 70
Yep.
balls, which Maxwell finished. So Cummins has had a wonderful year. So did Cricket Australia, and I think that shows also in the IPL auction where he was bought for the highest ever figure, because what they are getting is a player who delivers in the big occasions, who delivers with the bat, with the ball, and leads from the front.
Second highest, just as a little bit of correction,
It was
Stark
Mitchell Stark, right?
for
Yeah,
the
yeah,
highest.
yeah,
Yeah, Mitchell
yeah,
Stark was the highest. But whatever the Sunrisers paid for Pat Cummins was well deserved. Like, you cannot go wrong with this sort of a player who can bat, ball, captain, all three in one, who has had an year like he has had.
yep,
Every single trophy you can think of, he has already won. So, and taking up the Australian captain job is not that easy either. Like, he has somehow, this is, I think, his biggest credit. He has maintained the fight of the Australian team while making the Australian team somewhat more likable, which is
yeah,
not something that was the case during Ricky Ponting's time. Ricky Ponting's time, they were the best in the world while being extremely unlikable. This Pat Cummins side is likable as well as they know that they're the best out there, which is, I think, full credit to the captain. The
Yeah,
culture has changed in
absolutely.
Australian cricket.
Mm. Being iconic and likable is something that's the killer deal in sports. You don't usually get both of them, maybe except if you're Messi,
Yeah.
unless we are talking about Real Madrid fans, of course. So I'm gonna move on to the next one. We just touched on it inadvertently, but this had to be there. There is no way we are leaving this out. Maxwell Miracle in Mumbai. Um, I'm sure you are sick and tired of me talking about this. So I'm gonna let one of you take over, and you can see that scorecard that VS was referring to. Pat Cummins once again, holding his ground and doing something that he had no right to. 12 of 68 balls.
yeah.
So you have so much going around, statistics and strike rates. You know, 10 years later, if somebody looks at this scorecard, take out every other name, and it's just Pat Cummins 12 of 68 in an ODI innings, you'll be like, yeah, what the heck was he doing? And here is where context comes into play, right? So he played second fiddle to what is arguably the greatest innings in ODI. That's all I'm gonna say. So I'm gonna let you two speak about
I'm
this.
not really sure if it was Mark Twain or somebody, but I remember reading this somewhere that if you are a good liar, you lie. If you are a great liar, you use statistics. So you take statistics away, isolate it, and remove it from the context. It can paint absolutely any picture, which is the case with the innings that Cummins played. But we are not talking about Cummins anymore. We are talking about Maxwell, and if I were to use adjectives, I would say impossible. What he did was impossible. He should not have done this. It was simply abnormal, because this guy, he was not just batting against the odds. He was also injured. He had cramps, and as a batsman, you have to have foot movement. You are not allowed to just stay in the crease, plant your feet, and swat every ball that comes away like like flies. And he did that, and he did that so majestically. It is an outlier. We are not going to see anything like that anywhere. We're not going to see anything like that in the future, not in the next 5 years to come, probably not even in our lifetimes. I hope we all live long and maybe something like that comes across, but I hope you all go to savor that while it happened live in India. It was truly a blessed moment to have watched it live.
Maxwell is just a freak of nature. It's what he is. When he gets going, it's tornado time, and that was the perfect storm. If you want to, in the future, someone wants to understand what a cricketing freak of nature looks like. Maybe someone in the 70s will show a video of Viv Richards. 70s, 80s will show a video of Viv Richards. I think this innings will be for our generation, that this is what a cricketing freak of nature looks like. This is what a guy who can do the impossible and went ahead and did the impossible. I don't. I feel like Maxwell has had this sort of cloud of inconsistency over his head, but with that one innings, he has secured his place in the
He
Australian
put
side for
all
the
of
next
that
five
to bed.
years.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It
Yeah,
doesn't matter if he's inconsistent anymore. He might actually be inconsistent. I don't think he's a consistent performer. He doesn't deliver on occasions where it is expected of him. But yeah, that one thing, he's up there. He's part of history right now.
that's it. And he will probably be there for a very, very long time to come. So I'm gonna move on with what I believe might be the last one. Okay, last but one. Of course. So I have two India fans in the house right now. I'm the one who is outnumbered, and
I want
I
to
am
take this. I want to
also.
take this.
Yeah,
Chris, I really want to take this.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Floor is all
So,
yours.
this was I was in high school and I had just moved from Kerala to a new place, and since I had severe lack of friends, and since I could not speak the language, I started reading newspapers a lot. And back in the day, the New Indian Express, they had a very thorough sports column, and cricket was closely followed. So I used to read about Ranji cricket. I used to read about under 19 cricket, and India was playing in the under 19s tournament back then, the under 19 World Cup. And since I was following India's progress from the group stages itself, and I had developed a sort of liking. Kohli was the captain, by the way. But the player whom I thought was the most exciting of the bunch was one Mr. Srivals Goswami. He has vanished into cricketing obscurity right now. And he was the batsman who performed throughout the tournament. And apart from Goswami, there were also a couple others who were better batsmen than what Kohli at least was. And I wondered, okay, why is Virat Kohli this chubby looking arrogant dude who is a captain? Maybe he just has a personality. But it was a final, and I decided to watch the final. I faked the sick day, and I watched the final, and Kohli scored a century and won us the match. And I was like, okay, maybe I was wrong all along. So that's how I started following Kohli, and then he just kept growing and he just kept improving. And in a few years' time, he was rolling in the IPL. Then he was in the Indian cricket team, and then some 3 years after that, Kohli just changed himself. So the chubbiness was no longer there. The arrogance was way more refined and selective. He was selective about how to express his arrogance, how to channel it. So this is a naturally aggressive dude, and I'm not saying it's genetic, but then he's certainly Punjabi, and there is a certain way that they are brought up. And since he also grew up in Delhi, he's also expected to be naturally arrogant. At the very least, he might have driven somewhere in the Delhi traffic, and that gets to you. But Kohli, he channeled himself. He channeled his energy. He channeled his aggression. He put work on himself, on his body, over his psyche. And look where we are. I mean, it's simply impossible. Simply impossible. Because he has scored 50 centuries in ODI cricket. That is the stuff of legends. There is He's first to the peak, and there is nobody in the pack who is even chasing him. So, what a majestic player! Had the pleasure of being able to witness him, being able to see him grow and reach where he is. So, that's all from me, Dave. Over to
there
you.
was this there was this period of time I remember where Kohli was scoring centuries almost every other game, every second game he was scoring a century, and
Yeah,
I
that
think the
was back when
general.
you scheduled a lot of series against Sri Lanka. With
Yeah,
all due
maybe. But there was this period of time, I think for a period of 1 year or so, he was scoring centuries every second game, and everyone was wondering ki, if he can keep it up. And the fact that he kept it up for as long as he has kept it up, to score 50 centuries is an achievement like no other. Even
and
though I believe
it's
personally that scoring centuries, say 20 years ago, was more difficult than the what it is now. The pitches have improved for batting. The boundaries have gotten smaller, slightly smaller. The dimensions are better for batsmen. The fielding restrictions are more batsman friendly than it used to be before. So there is a debate to be had if Sachin's 49 centuries is a better or a more significant achievement than the 50 centuries of Kohli. I am not going to go into that debate. I'm just going to say that it's the sheer ability of the man to keep pushing all throughout the disappointments of ICC tournaments and whatnot. He's clearly the best batsman India has to offer. He is clearly the best batsman India has offered in the past 20 years since Sachin. And it looks like the guy will play till he's 45. He is still the quickest with between the wickets, is still the fittest in the team. He is not going anywhere, and hopefully we will have this conversation when he has put the debate whether he is better or Sachin is better to bed when he has scored 75 centuries. Hopefully we'll
See,
see
we are
that
going to
debate.
have this episode sometime down in the future where all four of us sit down and we are going to have that debate, the one that Dave said, if Sachin or Kohli, who is better, after Kohli has surpassed Sachin in terms of total number of runs scored across all formats and individually in all three formats. It's not a question of when, it's not a question of if, it's only a matter of when.
I would disagree with you both and actually say that Kohli has actually surpassed Sachin's legacy at this point of time. And quite literally, Sachin has 49 centuries in ODI. Virat has 50. That's the definition of
I think
surpassing
just
Sachin.
some 2 minutes
Yeah,
ago we
This is
quoted somebody about how how the greatest
statistics
liars
can
use
be
statistics.
deceiving. Statistics can be deceiving. So it's a good debate to be
please.
had. I think uh,
Yeah,
I think both sides will
potential
have good
episode for
points,
us.
but now, yeah,
Yeah,
that's a different episode. We'll reserve
yeah,
that fight for some other
that's true.
episode.
But going back to what VS said, I'm glad he brought up Virat Kohli's under 19 stints and all because it's been a while we talked about that, right? We Virat has achieved so much that we forgot that he's one of the few under 19 kids who has not only gone gone on or went on to live up to the expectation that he
He
himself
exceeded it.
set when he was 19. He
He
exceeded it
exceeded
and
it by far.
probably ending the game as the greatest. How many people do you
Yeah.
know who has done that? Probably off the top of my head, Messi and Ronaldo in football, Michael Jordan from basketball. You have like five or six athletes who has maintained the kind of consistency
Mm,
that Virat Kohli has
I suppose Nadal and
from
Roger Federer,
19
but
to
then we
34.
are going, yeah. But we at this point we are talking amongst the goats of each sports,
Yeah,
right? Like we are not
exactly.
exactly going one tier below. We are talking about the peak of the peak, and the fact
Yeah,
that Kohli is in that discussion says a lot. I would say,
that's true.
who is better, whether Sachin is better or Kohli is better, that's a moot point. He is being mentioned amongst the goats of cricket. He is being mentioned in the same gallery as your Roger Federers, your Michael Jordans, your Messis, and Ronaldos and whatnot. So that itself says a
He's
lot
an
about the
icon.
guy. Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Yeah. So with that, I'm gonna go to the last one. Do you have any guesses?
Cricket.
It's the
This
World
is
Cup,
an
isn't
odd
it?
one. It's the cricket. This is not actually the World Cup. I wanted to go with something offbeat, but equally iconic. I'll give you a clue. This is a game I bet none of us would have watched live. We would have probably followed the scorecard, but this is a cricket match that none of us would have watched.
Go ahead. Reveal. Do the big reveal.
I would
Uh,
say it's he's probably going to go with and something related to Australia. He's endemic. He might even go pick up something from Big Bash. We're
Yeah.
not here to discuss
Oh.
Big Bash.
no, no, you were wrong. You were wrong. You cannot be right all the time. So the fifth and
Yeah.
final iconic moment that I picked up in cricket is India's win against Australia. Uh, of course, the catch is it's the India women's team against Australia women. This is the one-off test that happened no very recently, no older than a
Yeah.
month ago, and it's really significant because this is India's first test win against Australia. Again, correction, India women's first test win against Australia.
Let's go with
This
India. Like we know the context that we're talking about the women's team.
so um, this happened once again in Mumbai at Wankhede. At this point, there is something really special at this ground, right? Between this, the Maxwell innings or the Dhoni innings all those years back. If only few people were, less stubborn about hosting every big game in a 100K stadium and actually give Wankhede its due. Maybe we'd have more iconic moments in
I
cricket
agree.
like
I
this.
agree.
So I'm just kind of quickly flash the scorecard. I'll be honest, none of us followed the game, but that doesn't mean we don't recognize the significance of what this means to women's cricket and India women's cricket. We all know this is a talented India squad, perhaps the best in history, with the likes of Smriti Mandana or Jemima Rodriguez. And in a lot of ways, similar to the Australia squad, right? So it's very likable. So we have seen these women in other avatars than playing cricket, and it's a group of individuals that you want to root for. And even though the win came against Australia, I can't deny how special it was for cricket as a whole. We need
Yeah.
more barriers being overcome. We need more history be written and rewritten.
Yeah.
And once in a while, it doesn't matter if it comes at the expense of cricket Australia. I'm
Yeah.
good with that.
And also, with this, I'll just give a quick shout out to the legends of Indian women's cricket players like Mithali Raj, Anjum Chopra, Chulan Goswami, who played through a lot of period of BCCI just sort of ignoring the women's cricket and not giving its due credit or the due promotion, and the squad being not that great. They soldiered through all of that for this Indian team to exist, the current Indian team with Jemima Rodriguez, other Jemima Rodriguez, and
Smriti
you have
Mandhana.
your Smriti Mandhana, exactly, and Harmanpreet Kaur. The superstars of the game exist because of the legends who came before them and who had to go through a lot of shit to actually keep playing for the country. Full credits to them, and this was an iconic moment in its own right, I would say. The win against Australian women's team, because Australian women's team is the best in the world. It's important to mention that. Like the men's team, they are the best in the world.
Absolutely.
So defeating them is a big deal. Is a big deal.
Not defeating them, smashing them. It was
Crushing, yeah.
very crushing
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, and I think at some point, at one point of time, even Australian women's team recognized that they have been humbled by Indian team because I remember, was it Healy who was taking a video of the Indian team celebrating, right? Like
Yep,
she
yep.
became the camera woman. She wanted to capture that moment
Yeah,
of Indian team celebrating, because even she realized what a big moment this is for Indian
that's
women's
true.
cricket. And that is something I love about the women's cricket as well. There's a across the board solidarity, because they know that they're going up against the tide of against the apathy of cricket fans and the administrators alike, and these sort of
But the
games.
the future is certainly bright, and there are
Yeah,
several
definitely,
reasons. I think we
definitely.
can cover it separately sometime because times are changing and it's changing for the good.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but that's an excellent shout out, Dave. Throughout, it doesn't feel equal, right? So, men's team with its revenue and whatnot, women's team have been in the sidelines for far too long. With the women's IPL coming through and more recognition for the modern day players, I'm sure it's gonna change. Um, so that ends our cricket segment. So I'm gonna move on to football and the most iconic moments. I'm pretty sure we have some controversial moments included there.
We are ready to
Beginning with
fight.
an honorable mention for
Come
the
on,
one and
We ready
only
to
nothing.
Kylian
fight. We ready to
Mbappe.
fight over this. We are ready to fight over
Okay,
this because this
what
is
what
a,
is what is your problem? Can one
Because
of you explain? I
you're
know.
giving too much importance to a spoiled man child at this point. He's not as relevant as you make of him. Is he one of the best players in football right now? Absolutely yes. But why are we putting him in the list of the top sporting moments in history? First of all, when we're talking about moments,
No,
moments
first
means
of all,
something that
not
happened,
history.
something that
2023.
took place in
2023.
time. His Real Madrid transfer never even took place. So why are we even putting him in a list where we are talking
The
about things that
U-turn
actually happened?
happened.
He's in a list because it did not happen. How does that make sense? I completely disagree. He should not be here. It is Kriska being simply arrogant, simply not listening
Yeah.
to our feedback and going ahead with it. I completely disagree. He doesn't merit a place in this list at all.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Simply because, see, it's a game that he has been playing for the past 3 years. Will he? Won't he?
Yeah.
Will he? Won't he? The guy is more indecisive than your average house cat. It is very irritating because this will happen again. It will start from today. He is a he is free to negotiate deals with other
All
clubs
the more
starting
reason
today.
to include
And
him in the list on an episode
Simply
so
day where
disagree.
we are
see,
doing an
see,
episode.
I will give you a bit of a spoiler. Okay, this will continue on till summer. This will go ahead, and there will be 1,500 rumors. Will he join? Then Real Madrid will. Jose Felix Diaz will
And
publish a new
Emmanuel,
story.
yeah,
Hold
Emmanuel
on.
Macron will
PS.
go
One
to
second. One
Mbappe's
second.
house. He will cook him a free dinner. He will bake him a cake. He will serve him some
Yeah,
wine. And
they will.
Mbappe eventually he will say, I was very heart warmed by the interest that a club with the stature of Real Madrid showed in pursuing me. But I have
Yes,
decided to continue
and
my adventure by
and
staying
the
in.
and the and the
Thank you so much.
embarrassing thing, if I were a Real Madrid fan, the embarrassing thing is Real Madrid will publish this news story that the Kylian Mbappe saga is over. Our doors are permanently closed.
Yeah.
Then they will go back twerking for him whenever his contract runs out again. That
I've
is
never
absolutely
seen Real
embarrassing.
Madrid.
It
I mean,
is,
I've never seen Real Madrid actually really, pardon me for
yeah,
using the
man.
word, but simp for a player ever like they have for Mbappe. I mean,
Maybe that is
you
the
get rejected
iconic
again.
moment. It's not about Mbappe. It's about
It's
Real
not a
Madrid.
sporting moment. It's drama. We discuss it for the gossip value. You know,
And it
this is
is,
like us talking about how the guy in your neighborhood scored full A plus in 10 standard, but failed to clear neat and taking pleasure out of it. No, this is not the content we are to be discussing.
it's a
Please.
stupid transfer that even if it happens now, let's just say he goes to Real Madrid, okay, this
I will just
summer.
say finally
Even
over. Get rid of
yeah,
it.
yeah, it's over. I just get him to Real Madrid. I don't care. Like, okay,
Oh,
the rival will
please.
get a
At
great
least
player.
we as
I
side
don't care
agree.
anymore.
You would be the first
I
person
don't.
with a bottle of
I
alcohol
honestly don't.
bitching
See. No,
about
no, no,
how
no, 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 no,
Barca
no.
is done and dusted.
I see. I completely disagree with that because see, it had happened 3 years before, I would have done that because sure. But now I am mentally prepared that even if he either comes or he
Yeah.
does not come, I don't care anymore.
He has been
Okay,
mentally
I
prepared
don't
for
care.
4 years now.
Yeah, let just get the transfer done with and just get the transfer done with. Or if you don't want, if the transfer is not happening, just close the bloody case, give him the
See,
player manager
I'll
role,
tell you, man. Like,
give him
see,
the
we all
sporting
have very
director role,
limited
give
time
him
here on
another
Earth.
bazillion dollars.
Yeah, we have very limited time on here on Earth, and for the last 4 years, like last 3 years at least, during summer, you know, we all use technology, we all use social media, and when I'm scrolling on my phone, this Mbappe to Real Madrid and PSG, Qatar, France, Macron, Sheikhs, pasta,
You
pizza.
shut up.
This
You
drama, it
rep
has taken
Chelsea.
so
This
much
is the
time.
worst action you are gonna see in the next few years.
It's simply not worth it. We should move on from this.
Yeah, yeah,
We should not
we should.
breathe further life into Kriska's
We
argument by discussing it.
Yeah, VS. Well,
Fine.
as the year of
Fine.
football, you can veto this and move ahead. Please do.
Vetoed. We shall move on. Okay.
Go
Okay.
ahead
This
and
is actually
discuss.
relevant.
Yeah, this is relevant
This is
because
relevant.
Cristiano Ronaldo going to Saudi did open the floodgates of players moving to Saudi.
It was a
And
precursor of things to come.
yeah. And the fact that Ronaldo said that me coming to Saudi will lead to the league getting better players,
Yeah.
and no one exactly believed it till it believed him till it actually happened.
Actually happened.
Players and you can argue whenever how much ever you want about oil clubs getting players again, buying players from Newcastle United and things like that for inflated transfer fees, and I agree with all of that, but that does not mean that Saudi league suddenly became a more watched league and a more relevant
this
league, I think.
this is what we call a paradigm shift, because this is the biggest thing that has happened to Asian football in a long while. And I'm not a Ronaldo fan personally, and I don't think he is the best player that I have seen during my lifetime. But Ronaldo is more than just your average player. He is the biggest brand in football.
Brand,
There is no bigger
definitely.
brand in football than Cristiano Ronaldo. And moreover than being just a brand, you also have to remember the influence that Ronaldo wields, because more than just a sports person, he is somebody who has created this brand of being a hustler. Okay, I was not as talented as Messi, but I worked, I hit the gym, hustle. It's about
Yeah,
drive, it's
he's
about
a
always
hustler,
stay
all
hungry,
right.
yeah, that kind of thing. And kids look up to him. All these young Andrew Tate fans, they look up to him. Actual people who are like into the fitness culture, who work hard, who diet, they look up to him. He's looked up to for by people who do not drink alcohol, who do not abuse drugs, because he's a role model for them. So he is one of the most influential people in world football. He's a superstar, he's a brand. And him going, although at the latter years of his career, the sheer person that he is, he could have gone. He did not have a lot of takers in top UCL clubs, because if you have Ronaldo in the team at 35 years of age, you have to cater your footballing system to him. And back then, it was totally worth it, but not now anymore. But he
Yeah.
still had offers from like everywhere across the world, and he chose Saudi. You can say everything, you can say he chose it for money and whatever, but he
I
went
wonder why
there,
he
and
didn't
now
go
it
to
is
the
one of the
US.
most watched leagues in the world.
I don't think that's true.
It
Has
is,
it
it
surpassed
is,
Serie A?
it
Okay.
is.
Yeah.
No, so I think right now what is happening is that people are watching Al Nassr games, the team he transferred into. That does not mean they will watch Al Ettifaq games, say
Do you know
another
who
mid-table.
Talisca is? Do you know who Talisca is?
Yeah, I know who Talisca is. I know he's playing in Saudi at the moment,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. That's the
Yeah,
thing. So there are I've seen social media pages in India who are baying for Talisca to be included in the Brazil national team, which boasts some of the richest attacking talent in country level football at this moment. And why do you think so? Because people are not just watching Ronaldo. Since Ronaldo is playing there, they are starting to watch the league. They are following other players. They are getting familiarized with players, and the names that have moved to Saudi are no joke. Benzema is there,
yeah.
N'Golo Kante is there, Ruben Neves, who's actually a very good player who can play for a top PL club, is there. And we have a question from Arafat Khan. It's actually a very straightforward question, because he says CR7 is a spent force, isn't it? But why are his moves across leagues making waves? First of all, calling CR7 a spent force is kind of overstretching it, because he might no longer be the Cristiano Ronaldo that he was. But I think he's ending this calendar year as the top scorer across world
Yep.
football. He has scored some 50 odd
Yeah.
goals, and he has some
And
17 assists to his name. Although it is in Saudi league, it still matters, because Ronaldo could have very well gone on to a above average level club in any league and still scored truckloads of goals for them. So it's not just about his footballing ability. It's like we already discussed. It's about the magnetism, the audience that he brings.
yeah,
And once other football players who are also like superstars at the latter years of their career, so Ronaldo moved to Saudi. For example, Benzema. Benzema is a Ballon d'Or winner, and he is moving to Saudi from Real Madrid. Real Madrid is sometimes what many consider the pinnacle of club football, and Benzema
I'll
moved there.
just
N'Golo Kante moved there. So it
I'll just
was it
add a
was a
simple
paradigm shift.
thing.
It was not a transfer. It was a change. It
Yeah,
changed the entire landscape.
I will just add a small fact to it. It's not just players who are presumed to be past their primes who are moving there. Gabri Vega moved there. He was one of
Yeah.
the most hyped
Yes. Yes.
young talents coming from La Liga, and
La
he
Liga.
moved to Saudi League.
Yes.
Uh, they are getting young players as well now, so it's not just spent forces going there. It's also youngsters moving, and
It
and
I
has
think a
changed the
the
part of that
landscape.
appeal
the
is due to
point is
Ronaldo
Ronaldo
moving.
started all of it, and
Yeah,
incidentally, he started it exactly 1 year ago. Ronaldo to Al Nassr was actually made official January 1, 2023, and like there is no better blockbuster way to kick off the footballing transfer
Also, the
season
audacity
than
with
that.
which Ronaldo said back then that I am going to Saudi, a lot of
Yeah.
top European players will be coming there, and in 5 years it will be at par with the top level European leagues. I thought it was a bluff. I thought this was, Ronaldo being the arrogant Ronaldo that he is, but he was speaking
Eh,
factos.
it's okay. Ronaldo says a lot of things. Occasionally he gets them right. But I'm glad that you agree on this one at least after my Mbappe fiasco. Of course, here we had another disagreement. Quickly touch on this, but I'm gonna go ahead and tell the title that I wanted to actually have here.
Yeah, so City, through whether you want to say correct means or slightly sus means,
Okay,
but
since
through
Dave
pure
cannot find its
footballing talent,
words,
no,
let me
through
just
pure
say that.
footballing credit, they did win the treble. And see, personally speaking, I consider a club a big club once they conquer that peak when they win a treble. Which means you are not just good in one tournament. You have been good across the board. You have been the best in the league, in your cup tournaments, in your knockout tournaments, and that gives you the credit. Okay, now you are a big club, now you can call yourself a big club and I won't laugh at you. So them it's also significant because they won the treble before some of the big clubs did. They won the treble before Real Madrid has never won the treble in its
Whoa,
history. Okay,
damn!
city
Now we're
won the
talking.
treble City won the treble before teams like Real Madrid, and that is significant. That is significant not just for uh, football. Like football, it's also significant for some of the Saudi
Oil money investments as
investments.
well. Yep.
Exactly, because they have shown
Qatar
that the
investment.
system works. Yeah,
No,
they
not
have
Qatar.
so
It's
shown that
Dubai.
the
Dubai
system works.
actually. Yeah,
Dubai
UAE.
investment, and City has proven that their system works. That if you spend obscene
It's
amounts
not
of
Dubai,
money
by the
in
way.
an
It's Abu
intelligent
Dhabi.
yeah,
The
but they have
latter being
shown
the key word, you have to spend obscene amounts of money and you have to let
money in an
intelligent men
intelligent
who
manner.
know their
Yeah,
Yeah,
job spend it.
exactly.
yeah,
Because
True.
City, they have Tixiki Bexian, they have Pep Guardiola, one of the all-time great managers coaching them. And that is the reason why they have won all that, not just
Okay,
because of
fair
spending
enough.
money. We can vouch
But
for it.
the
You can
original
see.
headline that I wanted to have was oil spill takes City to the treble. But VS and they've convinced me. Well, they let me have Mbappe on the slide, so I threw a bone. But I'll give credit to City because we also know another really, really shitty club with no history is a little aggressive. Shitty club who
yeah.
has thrown money repeatedly but hasn't come close to uh, the champ. Okay, they did come close, but they haven't won the Champions League. So clearly, City have built a model that other clubs can look up to and replicate, while the other club that I'm not gonna name have built a model that you are actively gonna use as a blueprint was for one not
See,
one things that you
I
cannot do
would
with
argue,
money.
Priska, one reason why the what differentiates between the club that you mentioned, which is PSG. Let's not really beat around the bush. Between
Yeah,
PSG and City is that City, even though they are spending money, they have the advantage of playing in Premier League. So they are constantly used to facing tougher opposition. They have to play Liverpool. They have to face top managers. They had to face Antonio Conte. They had to face Mourinho. So it takes a lot of experience and in-game management to actually win league and Champions League all in the same season. And PSG simply lack that because in the French league, with the amounts of money that they spend, they fielded a front three that involved Messi and Neymar together with Mbappe. So it's also about match practice, and you like it or not, it might be oil money at the end of the day. But what City have done footballing wise, they did not buy the trophy directly. They had to go out there and play for it, and they have won it. So credits to them were due.
Okay, this is a debate that you're never changing my mind about. Um, so I'm just gonna move on.
They was
This is
favorite
something
though.
we can all agree on. Yeah. Yep.
yeah.
And
It
this
was a
headline,
very
it was a shocker for me. Winning first Serie A title since Maradona won it for them. That is 33 years ago.
Yeah,
Insane.
and it's a very warm sort of it's sort of a football story that gives you hope for the game. I would say that Napoli, having one of those seasons where everything works for them. They had a great coach, Luciano Spalletti, who has since left Napoli. They have great player. They had probably the best defender in Serie A in Kim Min-jae, partnering with this old wily veteran Mario Rui. You had Kvicha Kvaratskhelia coming out of absolutely nowhere and absolutely
Maradona.
Quaradona had a fantastic season last season. Osimhen, who can forget Osimhen? That's the guy who I know for a fact that he is VS's personal favorite, and he would like to see Osimhen in Chelsea
It's
in
gonna
some
be very fun when Osimhen signs for Arsenal in the summer, though.
But that's the thing, right? Like Napoli winning that title gives hope to a lot of other Serie A clubs that they can also push for a title challenge. It's not just a duopoly anymore in that Inter will win or Juventus will win. Now, in the last 4 seasons, Milan has also won. Napoli won after 33 years. What a fitting tribute to Maradona that was.
You also have to consider that Napoli is not one of the richest clubs in Serie A. Their stadium
Exactly.
is prehistoric. It is straight from the eras of Gladiator. Naples again is also not one of the most friendly cities across Italy. Italy as a whole, I don't think is a very friendly nation. Put all that into perspective, and Maradona was somebody who belonged in Naples because Maradona, although the great footballer that he was a flawed person, and that is one reason why the Naples crowd embodied him, and they felt that okay, he is where he belongs because Maradona was did not need to play in Napoli necessarily. He was in Barcelona. He could have gone to Real Madrid, but he chose Napoli and stayed there and played for them. And he won them the Serie A because Maradona at Napoli was again an outlier. That player did not fit in there from a sporting point of view. But if you consider the history of Naples, because again that is somewhere where the southern part of Italy is where mafia originated, and Maradona had close ties with all of those. So all that history aside, this Napoli win did not have any significant negative shades to it because the coach was clean. The players they played for the badges, and it was a very diverse set of players because Osimhen, he's a black Nigerian who led them from the front. Kim Min-jae, he's an Asian, and that is also somewhat new. Naples are still not used to such amount of diversity and people coming together. I mean, the fans are the footballing wise, but the culture that still pertains there is not necessarily conductive to the modern way of football, and they still made it. So massive, massive achievement.
And also, I do not know why they fired their manager. There was some disagreement between Luciano Spalletti and
I think he
the
left on his own
owner.
terms. I thought
No,
he
no, there
was
was
sick or
some
something.
disagreement. There was some disagreement. There was something brewing between Aurelio de Laurentiis and Luciano Spalletti, for which Luciano Spalletti left the club. And you can
Yeah.
see the immediate effect. Like they sold their best defender in Kim Min-jae, and Quaradona is not having a Quaradona season, and Walter Mazzari is really struggling. So now they are not nowhere close to the top of the table. This sort of season comes once in a lifetime. You can probably compare it to the Leicester title winning season.
Leicester
Although
certain.
I think Leicester's achievement was bigger in stature
Yes.
simply because
Definitely.
from where they
By
came
many
from,
folds.
Napoli was
Yeah.
already mid-table somewhere around that when they made the push to win the title. Even then, I think Napoli might have to wait a few years if they're lucky to win another title.
Yeah. Hopefully it's not. We won't say they haven't won the title since Quaradona and Osimhen won it for them 30 years ago. So I'm gonna move on to the next one, another personal favorite for me. Uh,
Your personal favorites so far have not been my personal favorites, so I'm not really looking forward to it.
this one
Okay,
you
fine
have to
enough.
agree.
Yeah, fine enough. No worries. No worries over there.
Yeah. I
Eva,
think
this is
there
yours, man.
is
I don't wanna
okay. We
steal
don't
your
really
thunder.
need to talk about this. I'm just gonna say one thing.
Yeah.
The reason I included this, even though it has happened 8 times already, is uh,
This is the
this is
last.
the last time that it's gonna happen. So the
Yep.
whole
Yeah.
Messi versus Cristiano Ronaldo or Messi and Ronaldo, that era is done and dusted.
That
Ronaldo is
has
already
ended.
out of
So
the Ballon
I
d'Or
hope a
picture.
lot of football fans who grew up with us, who grew up in the era of Messi and Ronaldo going at each other, the final lap has been run. And if you still think there ever was a proper debate,
Yeah, I always maintain that Cristiano Ronaldo's biggest achievement was that he got mentioned in the same
Compared
conversation
to
as Lionel
Messi.
Messi.
Yeah.
That is his
The
greatest achievement.
the
Even and
greatest
the
and
Ballon
big
d'Or. Sorry, 1 second, Chris. The Ballon d'Or, which he the eighth Ballon d'Or, okay, that is great, but he didn't exactly need it either. Like we know the truth, but the truth is that he is the greatest ever, and
but the
this is
era
sort
has
of
come to an end,
extra.
and I hope we all are ready to face it.
Yeah,
It's
and
over.
it's just the extra stamp of authenticity at this point. Like it's
Yeah.
overdoing it to sort of
Yeah,
eighth
it's
Ballon
fine,
d'Or,
man. We are good. Our
but
heart got ripped out of
yeah,
us
yeah, yeah,
when Barcelona put out that statement saying Messi will not continue at Barcelona. So I don't think that
and it's
nothing will sting like that. Not even
yeah,
Messi retiring from the sport. So we are
I
good.
never
yeah,
supported
We
Barcelona,
saw,
but eventually, when Messi hangs up his boots, I
uh,
will obviously miss the magic that he brought to the pitch, and also I will miss a part of my childhood and all the years growing up that I watched this game, I watched the sport,
wow,
I
gosh, we
watched this
sound like a
man.
bunch of boomers now. Okay,
It's
let's not make
insane.
this. We are all gonna cry over Messi episode. Cristiano Ronaldo is already doing that in the comment section in some random Instagram post.
Karma, karma.
uh,
You had no
but
need for that. You had no need to say that. Move on already.
Oh, sorry, poor guy
yeah, I
catching
think we have
face.
already made a lot of enemies out
Uh,
of Cristiano Ronaldo fanboys. We can move on now.
Finally, the elephant in the room earned it on the pitch. Pretty ironic, considering how FIFA itself operates. But this, once again, is a landmark moment for football, whichever way you look at it. I'm pretty sure this warrants a whole episode on its own, discussing the
Entirely.
merits and demerits. Quick thoughts before we move on to WWE.
It's a necessity
Uh,
that can only be delayed but not avoided because where the money is, the sport usually follows. And right now, it's Barcelona and Real Madrid pushing for it because that La Liga has taken a back
We
seat and Real
broke.
is completely
yeah,
dominant. But the other clubs, because if you remember, it was not just Real and Barcelona who signed up as the founding members with ultimate immunity in the initial Super League. It was Chelsea, there was United, there was Liverpool. The PL clubs were also in on it until the fan backlash started out because they did see gains. So this the European competition will be reshaped eventually. There is no doubt about it. It's only a matter of time before all these clubs put their heads together and come up with what will hopefully be a better solution that the fans can put themselves behind. But this is happening, and it also raises a more broader question about monopoly because right now UEFA, again, we have to remember that UEFA is no god. It is a body. It's a body of people that come together to govern football at a European level. Because when Perez asks why should they be the only people governing football, because ultimately rights are rights back in the day when feudalism was justified, when kings had to give peasants a reason as to why they are kings, they said the power has been bestowed upon us by the gods. So you have to justify the power that you are exercising, and I don't think no footballing gods put UEFA in power of European football. So the change is imminent. I'm not saying I would like it, but it will
And
certainly happen.
let's not forget how UEFA has kind of portrayed itself to be the saints of football throughout the saga, which is absolutely not the case.
yeah.
FIFA
Let's
and
not.
UEFA, they are corrupt in their own rights.
Yeah,
They
let's
won't
not
ban our
mince
channel for
any
saying this,
words.
right?
Yeah,
ESL was not the
let's hope not.
solution, but
But
some
see,
solution will happen.
See, like we have said, UEFA aren't the be all and end all in European football, and that's how the court saw it as well when they judged in favor of not stopping a theoretical ESL happening sometime in the future. And I broadly agree with what we have said. We will see some sort of ESL coming up because at the end of the day, the fan owned club, which are very few in number, you have like Real Madrid, Barcelona, Athletic Club, the Bilbao. Apart from in Spain, there are like three, if of I know of. All the teams in EPL, as far as I know, are privately owned already. The very few fan owned clubs which are remaining in existence need some way to be able to compete with the oil clubs
See, the thing is, we are also a
eventually.
fan-owned club. You know, Todd Bowley is our biggest fan, and before that,
I
Abramovich
mean,
was the biggest fan. So it all depends on your definition of fans. I'm certainly sure
yeah.
Chelsea are a fan-owned club.
But
Abramovich was the biggest fan ever.
all all jokes aside, the good thing what I like about ESL is that there are going to be salary caps, which is and stricter FFP because of that reason. Because if you put a salary cap on all clubs, it's not like City can bypass FFP rules like it is doing now by paying a simple fine to UEFA, which UEFA just end up using to line their own pockets. We the the economy needs to be better, and I think ESL, even though its initial iteration was highly problematic with no relegation and things like that, eventually we need to come to a solution where some forms of whatever ESL has proposed needs to be integrated into the European football. Otherwise, we might not see fan-owned clubs 50 years from now.
Yeah, absolutely. This is
That
something
brings
I'm
us,
sure will
I
have a
guess, to
lot
the
of
end of all the footballing and cricketing
football.
topics that we had on discussion so far.
Yes,
That
pretty much.
also brings to the end where I state opinions authoritatively and bully Kriska and Deva, because the next topic that we are moving into is their exclusive. So,
It's
folks,
purely
all the
our
WWE
cricket.
fans out here, we will be here with our in-house experts covering what happened in WWE in the past year. Over to you, Kriska.
Yeah, this is the one that I'm most excited about, as you can imagine, and for all the right reasons. But before we get into our top five, honorable mention: Edge, old man wants to reunite with his best friend to kick his ass. Not the first time this has panned out, but certainly a time when there has been the most backlash.
I'm no WWE fan, but it sounds like every shonen anime plot ever.
Yes, that is true. Uh, but the fact that the reason why this is in an honorable mention is that it is a big jump. It wasn't. We had seen jumps from the from All Elite Wrestling to WWE. Cody jumped. We hadn't seen a wrestler of similar or maybe higher profile doing the jump from WWE to AEW, and that happened with Adam Copeland, who was erstwhile known as Edge, and quite a significant change in programming as well. And it's exciting to see him work again with Christian, who is his best friend. They just had a really great match, I think yesterday, in
Yeah,
the World's End, the TNT title match, and Christian is probably one of the hottest heels in wrestling at the moment, I have to say, which is raising Adam Copeland's stature as well. So it's good business all around, overall speaking.
yeah, totally. So I'm gonna move on to our top five. The Yar evolution. I am 100% confident that there is not going to be any debate with any of our five picks, starting with the Yar evolution. Dave, you want to take this one? By the way, we also put out a
Yeah,
special episode with the champion of the Yar evolution movement, one lovely Mr. Tim. Quick call out to that episode as well. That said, Dave, go on.
yeah, yeah. But the rise of LA Knight has been spectacular. This guy from NXT, who was like till 2 3 years ago was in the Indies, not exactly a big name on the Indies either. Coming to WWE and having his name changed, then being uh, touted as someone who will go nowhere. He had a name change, he had a character change. Then Triple H takes over the creative, and immediately he reverts back to his old LA Knight moniker, and has those promos which just instantly connect with the crowd. Uh, he is sort of an attitude era throwback. All these have been discussed quite in depth in our special LA Knight episode, which we did with the Twitter handle user of the ER Revolution. Uh, and overall, it's
Yeah,
sort of a
what do you think
Cinderella
about
story, I
his
would say.
career track? Don't you think his career track is a little bit off the table? Because right now we have a proper system in wrestling where the wrestlers come, they go through the junior rounds. Then, if they are really good, they get to NXT. They get to develop their characters. They get to work with managers, with physical trainers, with character trainers, with coaching experts on oration and everything. But
Hmm.
he's an outsider. He doesn't belong in the system. He was not raised through the academy, so to speak. And
Yeah.
but he's still doing he's there very much in the academic. So what do you
See,
make of that?
the good thing about wrestling is that if you are connecting with the crowd, and you are drawing money, all that goes out of the window.
But
No
you
one
are
cares.
the key factor is others are trained to do that. The others are trained by experts in their field on how to connect with the crowds, how to put out a performance. And
Yeah,
this guy
sure.
just came.
That's the
And how
yeah,
old
and
is he?
that's
He's
the
65 years old, right?
No, 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 no. He is in his mid 30s, if I'm not
Yeah.
wrong. And that is the Cinderella story I'm talking about, right? Like this sort of guy who did not have much of a background in WWE system. He has been wrestling since early 2000s. He has been wrestling quite extensively across the board. He was in Impact. He was in NWA. Eventually, when he set foot in WWE, he did go through the NXT system. They did not. The credit to the guy is that they did not keep him there for long, because he had all the tools needed to make that jump. His wrestling ability is does leave slightly to be desired, but his promo is amazing. The ability to instantly connect to the crowd, you can instantly hear from the reaction of the people whenever LA Knight's music hits and the chants they do. Uh, People just like a good throwback, I feel, and he is a proper Attitude Era throwback. I
We
think Chris
have
is stuck.
Krista back here with us, but I think he is stuck to a wall. Rest in peace, buddy. It was great knowing you. Uh, your memories will
he looks
stay with us
he
for
looks
the
like
rest of our. He looks shocked.
he
He
looks
looks like
constipated actually.
he actually looks like we stopped giving him water from Mulla Periyar.
Uh, all right.
Yeah,
So I think we will just continue until he figures out how to come back to the stream. And uh, I'm
and I
not
think the
sure.
next
Do we
biggest
have the
moment that
time?
we have in WWE to discuss is something that I think we already touched up in a past episode. It is this grand old man who talks a lot coming back to WWE. What do you make of that, Dave?
Don't don't kid yourself. You are also a CM Punk fan, as far as I know. And Kriska is
I
back.
like the guy.
I don't. I see. He would have really hated missing out on this segment. So it's a good thing that he is back, and hopefully he is not stuck again.
He still
But
looks like I
yes,
stole his Mulla Periyar water.
but yes, the next biggest moment is actually CM Punk getting fired from AEW. He was in. He got fired right after the All In pay per view, if I'm not wrong. And he
Yep.
There was a lot of backstage drama, which we might just touch upon in some future episode. Lots of cloud hanging over the shoulder of CM Punk, but I genuinely feel, considering how he has been since then, I think the overall environment was quite toxic. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely. And the way that AEW has carried itself in the last few months since CM Punk left, It's no surprise. We all knew the doom was coming when Tony Khan fired CM Punk. I know this might sound like something like a hindsight bias, but the circumstances under which Punk was fired or how he was treated, you knew something was messy with the company. And with all the disturbing news coming around, some harassment linking Chris Jericho or even MJF is no longer listed on the website. It could all very well be a work, but this is where the downfall for AW began, in my opinion.
I think it's a little premature to call it the downfall. They're being backed by a billionaire. They can keep getting backed. And see, Tony Khan is a clearly a wrestling fan, so he will back it till his pockets run dry. I feel, or the network kicks them out, and they have a market. They sold out the Wembley Stadium just last year, so they clearly have a market. They clearly have fans, but yeah, the entire episode with the Young Bucks and the CM Punk, the entire drama sort of put a black mark on their record last year, let's just say.
Yeah, but nonetheless, one of the most iconic moments for 2023 because that laid the foundation for another iconic moment that we'll touch upon. Hell freezing over, CM Punk returning to WWE. I think I've spoken enough. Dave has spoken enough. The records speak for itself. WWE's most liked social media post, Triple H's most liked post, and the ratings are through the roof. And everybody is talking about WWE and CM Punk. Um, the
And
guy is money. It's as simple as that.
I will just touch upon the fact that he has been apparently, from what we have been reading across social media and across news sites, that he has been heavily involved in NXT. Actively training and advising, sort of mentoring young talents who are coming through the system. And I think that sort of environment is good for CM Punk. I think that is the sort of environment he wanted in a AEW locker
In
room, which he
AEW,
did not get.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so that sort of
Let's
environment is
face it,
actually
Punk
quite good.
has a massive ego, and the NXT kids they'll massage that ego right up in a way that is
Yeah,
win-win for all parties involved.
because
And I totally expect him to take over NXT after Shawn Michaels, maybe some 10, 15
yeah,
years down the road.
yeah. Currently, Shawn Michaels is great. I love Shawn Michaels. Please continue in as NXT head.
Before we move on from CM Punk, I just want to go on record and say that CM Punk is winning Royal Rumble 2024 in just 27 days time. You all
Yeah, we'll
looked
be
at
there
me
for
like I
that.
was some. Yeah, you thought I was crazy when I said when I grew a beard and said I'm not shaving it until CM Punk came back. You all thought I was, I don't know. I went nuts. We all saw how that turned out. Uh, so I'm gonna go again and say that Punk is winning Royal Rumble, and I don't think you're gonna challenge me this time. I've earned the rep.
Yeah.
As much
It's a very
as
good
much
possibility.
as I would have loved to end this episode with CM Punk, we all know how much I love to do that. We all know how much CM Punk loves to main event. But something really pivotal in the landscape of pro wrestling happened just a couple of days back, which means we had to settle for CM Punk being main event night one of this episode. I'm talking about the potential next CM Punk, the outspoken face of the company, who is definitely going to be
Yeah, so what Chris is about to mention while he's stuck in a very interesting facial expression is that Maxwell Jacob Friedman, or otherwise known as MJF, just lost his title at World's End to Samoa Joe. As you keep gazing upon the wonderful expression that Chris has, let's talk about MJF and let's talk about the situation surrounding that. So MJF lost his title. They had been teasing for weeks this devil character who was haunting MJF. And I know VS is looking very confused as well, but this is all what makes pro wrestling special. You had a literal devil doing these sneak attacks on MJF, and having interrupting his matches and his segments. So finally, yesterday at World's End, it was revealed to be his closest friend, Adam Cole, with a new faction sort of a situation, who blindsided MJF. It seems like they are going to go ahead with Samoa Joe as the uh, head of face of the company, world title in the world title picture. He's the current champ. He won the championship yesterday, and um, MJF is going to take a break, a sizable break. It seems that he is dealing with injuries. They have taken him off of the roster page as well, and I think Chris is of the opinion that it's because he is leaving the company. There are some issues regarding contract negotiations there, which we are not exactly sure of. Uh, Chris, is
And
he
that brings
still?
us,
Yeah.
I guess, to the end, folks. So we have covered the most important moments of three sports across the last year. What a roller coaster of an year across all three sports, I must say. And I think we are braced for a new year, for new events, for new moments, and for new heroes and villains. So let's hope for a very successful year ahead. And I wish you and all of our viewers a very happy new year ahead. Thank you so much for joining us here, and have a great night. Bye.